Hey everybody, Ghost Cat here. Welcome back to Prototech or Bust, the series where I start from scratch and work to acquire Prototech of my very own. In today's episode, look, I found a turret. What is this monstrosity? And I utilize my cat-like reflexes. So, without further ado, we are off like a herd of turtles. And remember, for more Space Engineers feline antics, do the things. Yep, you know the ones. Well, everybody, since we were together last, I've taken a little time to start sketching out the basic size and shape that I think I want to use for my new fighting ship. I've done some sketches and come up with a few ideas, so now I think it's time to sort of transform it into real life. However, because of the amount of welding and, in particular, heavy armor that is going to be required to put this together, the first thing I want to do is build a welding arm that comes off of this boom right here and provides us with an easy way to weld up large things and heavy armor. I've got the whole boom piped already. I piped that up when I built the drainage port to remove all the bits and bobs from ships we're gonna break down. So all that I have to do is run a connection from there to wherever I decide I want to put the arm, and then I can get the whole thing rigged up. So, I think I want to put the arm right here, which is going to mean, of course, moving this gyroscope. At some point, I anticipate possibly putting a second one over here, so that we can easily reach both sides, without having to shift the attachment point from right here for the ship that I'm building. However, I suppose if necessary, I could move the attachment over here somewhere, but if I don't have to, I'll leave it the way it is. So, I'm going to move this gyroscope real quick, and we'll get to building that arm. So folks, this is what I've put together for my welding arm. Just a quick couple of pistons, got hinges that I can use to control elevation and angle, as well as this hinge here that'll allow the welding section to swing back and forth. So hopefully, I'll be able to use it to reach pretty much any area. Might have some difficulty on some of these bits on the other side, even though this whole other side's going to require a little bit of finagling, I think. Might have to add another rotor. We'll see. But, for now, I think it'll work just fine. However, one thing I did think of while I was building it that I had not thought of before was that I'm kind of going to have to build this from the bottom up. Because once I've got stuff in the middle, this arm isn't going to be big enough to reach the very bottom. But I think that if I go through and get most of the internal infrastructure built and put together, after that I can go through and use the arm to weld up the armor, maybe also use our welding array to get some other bits, but I think this welding arm will be critical in welding up some of the bigger components I want to throw in here, like a jump drive and the large thrusters that I'm going to want to put in here in directions that aren't forward, as well as other things that I might want to put in here that require a whole lot of components. So I'm going to get to doing some basic framing out, and I'll be back with you folks in a moment. So the welder's working, not quite as well as I'd hoped. I could definitely use more degrees of articulation, but so far I've managed to get some of these conveyor junctions welded up. However, I have found that I need to use the spectator camera in order to see what I'm doing with any sort of effectiveness. But using that, I can more or less get it to work, so I would say it's kind of a win. I am also using the Park script to make all of this work. However, the controls I set up are a little weird, so it's a little awkward, but I think once I get used to them, and maybe add more degrees of articulation, particularly on the welding head and cockpit section, I think it'll work out pretty well. Yeah, not bad at all. I was able to reach down underneath and get these all welded up. The rest of these junctions up through here. At some point, I may switch them out, but because I'm not exactly sure how my conveyoring's going to run yet, I've got them all as junctions, and then that way I can just tap off them anywhere I need to. It made it a whole lot easier to just throw it in here, mostly as a test of the welding arm. But I'm going to keep on keeping on, working on this, and I will come back to you folks when got a little bit more done, a little more something to show you. Well, everyone, the beginnings of a ship are starting to come together. I've got a whole lot of the conveyoring put together, as well as a few other bits and bobs that have got to be tucked down into the inside. We've got our jump drive. We've got our 2 Prototech gyroscopes already installed because they had to be tucked in pretty good. And our large reactor that's going to power this thing. Originally, I was going to use a combination of ion and hydrogen thrust, but I ended up deciding to just go with ion thrust because I didn't feel like carrying a giant bomb right in the middle of my ship. So at the moment, welding up some of the thrusters using welders connected to the conveyor system, which I tapped in with the connector because this welding arm ended up being more trouble than it was worth. It just took way too long to get it maneuvered into place and ended up being a whole lot easier, especially once I had the whole conveyoring system, to just use welders. Each of these cargo containers on here is where there's going to be a gun. Well, I should say a turret. I like to throw the cargo containers in there to make sure each one has its own supply of ammo, and it won't be pulling from the other guys unless absolutely necessary. It does take a bit of time going through and labeling them and setting up the inventory manager script for it, but once it's done, I've found it to be pretty worthwhile. One of the next big steps, I think, is to start putting some of the armor around this infrastructure. Start getting the armor framed in and everything built up, so I know where to put my reverse thrust, which is going to go somewhere in here, but I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to have this all shaped, so I had to hold off on that. But yeah, start getting the armor framed in, and then we could start figuring out where everything else is going to go. I've got a few other little fun ideas that I want to incorporate that are also reliant on knowing where the outside of the hull is going to be, so that will be the next task on building the ship. However, I think I've had enough building for today, and I'm going to put together a small attack fleet, and we can go poke our noses into some Factorum business. And here we are, everybody. I've got a Bobcat and 2 drones. We've got a somewhat freshly spawned unidentified signal. So, let's go see what we can find, shall we? And here we are, folks. Just about 17 kilometers from the signal. I'm going to get our drones set up and we'll move on in and check this out. Although, if I turn signals off, I can see that there's an asteroid there. So I know it's one of the asteroid bases. Now we just have to figure out which one. Alright, I think I've convinced both of these interceptor drones to follow me. So let's go see what's waiting for us over here. And here we are, about to cross the 5-kilometer threshold. My 2 drones are not far behind me. So I think it's time we prep for combat and move on in. Turrets are enabled. Well, looks like we just dropped one ship. Whoa. Someone is shooting at me from over here. Looks like they just scored a good hit on us. Well, that appears to be all the enemies outside. This looks like the asteroid base we captured the very first time. The one that I still use as a bit of a storage and production facility. Get myself clear of these rocks real quick and we can go pop inside. Something's blowing up over here. I think one of the drones might have crashed into one of the other drones. Alright, back to our storage facility. Let's get rid of this beacon first.
Inventory full. Inventory full. Inventory full. Inventory full.
Whoa! I don't know what that was. Thought it was a ship attacking outside, but... There's an antenna. It's probably going to call reinforcements. And I was wounded by small arms fire. Typical. Well, I had better claim this facility quick so it doesn't despawn. Although it looks like I would have had plenty of time. And I'm going to fly back real quick to the jump ship, probably just with my jetpack, grab a couple weapons, and make my way back here. Alright, here we are. Oh, looks like the door popped off. I didn't do that. That means I'm now exposed to that turret. Got my rocket launcher. I've also got a rifle. I always bring one as if I'm actually going to use it. But I never do. I do, however, get wounded fatally by small arms fire quite a bit. like I was just saying. Got my stuff without getting shot. Now I just need to take out this turret. Well, it looks like I got the turret. On that drone. I looked up because I saw something moving, and there he was. Alright, just to make sure. There, he will no longer be a threat. Alright, let's take a look and see what we got. Another Prototech jump drive. I always love those. And over here, a couple more Prototech small grid batteries. I can dig that. Just need to build something on there to take ownership of it, but I got a minute because it's telling me an hour and 40 some odd minutes it looked like. I just caught it out the corner of my eye. Let's run up here, not here, down here, and we will take out this antenna, and then hopefully they won't summon any reinforcements. As fun as that is, it's not what I'm looking for today. Excellent. Now we just need to loot this place, and we can head on home. Bummer, the large industrial cargo container doesn't have any Prototech components in it. That's really all I'm interested in here. Although, I'll always take some gold and magnesium. Have to go empty my inventory first before I can fit them in. Some power cells and superconductors, but no Prototech components. I'll still take what I got. We can throw this second jump drive on our jump ship, and then it'll be a single jump no matter where we need to go. Be a one jump chump. Alright, so took one of these interceptors. I threw a landing gear on the front. I'm hopefully going to use this to snag that jump drive. If it'll fit through the door. No, it won't.
Energy critical.
It'll almost fit. I'll just have to widen the door a little and we can squeeze right in. But first, energy. Alright, let's try this again. Oh yeah. Maybe. Getting held up on something. No, it's catching on that turret.
Inventory full. Inventory full.
We don't need that
Inventory
anymore
full.
anyway.
Inventory full. Inventory full.
Alright, it's got a vague hold of it. Just gotta grind out the floor
Inventory
underneath
full.
and it'll be ours.
Inventory full.
Alright, I think we did it. Now we just gotta see if we can get this to back out of here.
Energy low.
Excellent. One bit of Prototech down, one more to go. Alright, looks like I can push it around.
Invent.
Alright, we should be able to just float it right over here. hook it up
Energy
with a mag
critical.
plate. And we'll just let that float for a second. And there it is. Roughly connected, but connected. Take care of my energy issue real quick, and then we can probably fly back to the jump ship. And from there, back to the cat tree. Alright, looks like I got both of my followers, even the one who crashed himself into the asteroid. Jump ship, here we come. So, I was curious to see how the AI block would handle the weirdness that you sometimes get when driving with things attached to your mag plates or landing gear, and it seems to be doing just fine. It's following me pretty well, just kind of weeble wobbling back and forth a little bit. And the other one, I'm not sure where it is. I don't think it ever made it back from that unidentified signal. But I think that's the one that smashed itself into the rock, so it may not have some critical component like a thruster. I didn't even think to check, but he should have avoided collisions. And here we are. Well, those of us who made it back, at least. I think this is the first time I've come back with an intact bobcat in a while. This is kind of weird. However, I'll take the win. Got ourselves a little bit of Prototech. I suppose I never did grab that ore and ingots I found. Some silver, some magnesium, some gold. But that's how it goes sometimes. If I need them, I can always go and take a taste of a deposit with that Prototech drill. Would you look at that? Looks like the other interceptor's gonna make it after all. I'm gonna get this one docked while we wait, and then when that other guy gets here, we'll hook him up and head for home. Whoa, that interceptor just flew by us pretty close. He's clearly missing something. A thruster, a clue, I don't know. Looks like he's coming in for another pass. I'm gonna take control of it and see what his issue is. It says it has 3 damaged thrusters. I turned off the AI move block, so he'll just hang out there and hopefully not come smash into us while we're trying to dock his buddy. Alright, 1 docked, 1 to go. Now this guy's endured a bit of hardship, it looks like. Maybe I'll just grab him with the landing gear on the front of the jump ship. Might be safer than trying to land him without a first-person perspective or without any good perspective, really. But without that, and without a reverse thrust, I'll just grab him this way. He's headed for the scrap heap, so if the catch is a bit hard, so it goes. Alright, I think I got him. I didn't have auto lock turned on, so had to pop that on real quick, but other than that, I think we're good, so let's bring this beast around and head for home. And here we are, everyone, back at the cat tree, high above the alien planet. Unfortunately, that's all the time we have for today. I hope you've enjoyed yourself. I certainly have. It's always nice to pick up a win when attacking the Factorum and Even more so when I can come home with my ships intact. Next time, we'll do some work on the new combat ship. Hopefully get it mostly framed out, and if we're lucky, even get it detached from the umbilical. But who knows? We'll see. Besides that, I imagine we'll continue to plunder the Factorum. Before too long, I imagine they might get a little irked and start sending some scouts out to find us. Hopefully they don't actually figure out where we're at, because that might be unfortunate. So, until then, as always, have a great day.